This looks amazing, it smells good, it's gonna taste like out of this world. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so very excited to have you here. And if this is your first time coming to my kitchen, my name is Amanda. And per usual, I am kind of cooking off the cuff tonight. I very rarely follow recipes, and I like to bring you into my head as much as possible and show you kind of how I create dishes using, some basic methods to kind of put twists and new creations. So tonight I'm making kind of like a spaghetti and meatballs, but we're going with the chicken meatball, and instead of like a red marinara sauce, it's going to be a parmesan, like kind of creamy sauce. I don't know. This is what I start out with. We'll see what we end up with. So, well, let's just gather up some ingredients and get started. Okay, I got Watson settled with a bone because he is being incredibly loud tonight. So hopefully we can get started on our meatballs without him barking every 3 seconds. Oh goodness, I'm very crooked. All right, we're good. All right, so one of the first videos I did was a chicken meatball and orzo soup. Oh, that was loud. It was so good, and these meatballs were so delicious. I'm like, I gotta have these in my life again. But true to form, I always make up stuff on the fly, and I didn't go back and rewatch my video, so it's a pretty much guarantee that I'll do something a little bit different than I did last time, because I honestly I just make things up as I go. All right, where'd my towel go? I thought I had everything together. All right, so I got 2 pounds of ground chicken, and these are some just homemade breadcrumbs that I just did in my Magic Bullet really quickly. You can use panko. Why am I wanting not to say that right? Panko breadcrumbs or whatever breadcrumbs you have, okay? And it's probably about a cup. Then we want to salt and pepper. You want to be really generous with your seasonings because you can't taste this. It's raw chicken, so just be generous. Most people tend to under-season. If you are known for over-seasoning, pull back a little bit. Okay, salt, pepper, and some Italian seasonings. And I like to give them a little bit of squeeze as I'm putting them over because that will help release the oils of the herbs. All right, so my handy friend, the microplaner, love this tool. I like using fresh garlic in dishes like this. And this fine microplaner, like the big one, is brutal, but this fine one I find isn't super dangerous. So I'm using about 3 big cloves of garlic. I don't know about you, but my garlic at the store lately has been these teeny tiny cloves, and trying to find decent sized garlic has been a pain lately. I don't know, it's probably some effect of everything is different this year. All right, so get this grated up, and then I just wipe the back. Okay, I'm always trying to find the balance of how much talking and trying to get the video fast because I don't want to waste anyone's time, but I love to chat with y'all. All right, one of the most important things to do is to make sure that you don't overmix when you're doing a ground beef or ground chicken type of dish because it will make your meat tough. So I'm really kind of just folding it and trying to incorporate those breadcrumbs and the, oh, you know what? I'm gonna put an egg in here. No, do I wanna put an egg? I'm trying to remember if I did an egg last time. I don't think so. I'm not gonna do an egg. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Yeah, let me go ahead and do an egg. I think it'll help keep the meatballs brown. I mean, honestly, the takeaway point is whether you put the egg in or not, your meatballs are gonna be fine, but the egg will kind of help brown the meat a little bit. It'll help kind of hold the meat together so they don't fall apart. I'm cooking these in the oven, so I forgot to mention, I've got my oven preheating 375 right now, but the egg will kind of help give the chicken some nice brown color, and it'll hold them together. All right, again, I don't want to overmix this, so that's pretty good. Now I've got a cookie scoop. Okay, this is really too much. I know my hand's gonna get dirty again here, but that was just too much chicken. All right, so I just use this to try to keep my meatballs a similar consistency, and I'm going to, size. And I'm going to go ahead and roll all of these up. Today, so I live in Vancouver, Washington. We like to say Vancouver, not DC, not BC. Because, you know, a lot of people, when they hear Washington, they think that we live in Washington, D.C. And when they hear Vancouver, they think we live in Vancouver, B.C. in British Columbia up in Canada. But Vancouver is just a little suburb of Portland, Oregon. So we're right across from the river. And if you've heard of anything of the Pacific Northwest, you've heard that it rains here all the time. And it really does. It rains here a lot. It's gray or misty or rainy quite a bit. So when the weather is sunny and bright like it is today, oh man, especially in spring, you just really are excited and you want to get outside. So my husband had today off, and so as a family, we went to the next little town over and went on a short little hike around Round Lake. It's just this beautiful, it's a little basic hike, nothing hard, and it's got a dam, so and with a waterfall and rushing water, and you can see kayakers out on the lake. Oh, it's just so pretty. But yeah, so today was really fun. This dish, I think will make it good. Yeah, I don't know, do y'all have like winter dishes and summer dishes? When I grew up in Texas, the weather didn't affect my eating as much, because we basically lived in the AC, and then the winter didn't really get that cold. So, you know, I didn't really plan my meals around the weather as much. But up here, we do try to go without the AC a lot more. And so it might be warmer in the house. I mean, luckily we do have an AC because it does get warm up here, but so there's a lot of days where I will try to do things that don't use the oven. Obviously tonight I am, but it's still like 58 here. So it's not super warm. It's just sunny. So we're excited to have the sun. Anyway, all right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and roll up the rest of these, and then we'll be right back. Okay, if I'd been thinking about it, when I went to preheat the oven, I would have also started a big pot of water to boil, because, you know, it always takes so long for a pot of water to boil. But I'm gonna go ahead and pop these in the oven and get some water to boil, and then we will start working on our salsa in a few minutes. While I'm waiting for the chicken meatballs to cook and the water to come up to boil, I'm working on my latest crochet project. I'm making this for my niece. It's a character from, I think it's an anime show called My Hero Academia. I'm not familiar with fandom, but I asked my niece what she wanted me to make her. She's 13. This is what she said. So far I've got one leg and a foot. I've started the next foot, but I think I messed up and I might have to undo some stitches. But anyway, I think I hear the water boiling, so we'll head over back to the kitchen and get on to the next part of the recipe. They say a watched pot never boils, so that's why a lot of times when I'm waiting for water to boil, I go and find something else to do. It seems like it just goes faster that way. If you like crocheting, you should check out my friend Cynthia. Her YouTube channel is My Big's Adventure. She has some really fun, she likes to do granny squares, and I like watching her granny square YouTube videos. All right, so I am using just regular spaghetti. You could use whatever fun shaped pasta that you like, because, you know, there's nothing authentic going on with this dish. It's just flavors brought together. Now, how much pasta does one use? I don't know. I always seem to make way too much, but I'd rather have too much than too little, right? All right, so really you're supposed to have very, very salty water to do this, but I buy really expensive salt, and if I forget to buy cheap salt, I just don't salt the water. So today this water is unsalted. All right, so I'm giving it a stir because you want to separate the pasta and make sure that the water is getting in and around each pasta, otherwise they will clump together. And you also want to make sure you scrape along the bottom so that they don't stick to the bottom of the pan. But once you give it a one good stir like that, then you can just pretty much ignore it for the length of the time it wants you to cook it, which I think is about 12 minutes for this one. Let's see, yeah, 12 to 14 minutes. So I'm going to set a timer. I usually ask my device to do that, but I don't want to set everyone's devices off across, because apparently I did that in one of my videos and that wasn't nice. So we'll use the microwave. All right, now let's get started on our sauce. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get my skillet warm and put some butter and olive oil. I like to cook with a mixture of butter and olive oil. Butter has, you know, just it imparts different flavors, and if you just use butter, you're more likely to burn the butter, and then the olive oil will kind of protect it a little bit. So, all right, I got some garlic cloves. We're gonna give them a good quick chop up and into the skillet. And then I'm going to chop up an onion. So I just like to give it a quick rough chop and gather it back up into a pile and go at it again and run my knife over it a couple of times until I get the garlic into pretty small sizes. Actually, since I had my microplaner already out and dirty, I could have done that, but I didn't really want to paste because it might burn that way. I've got my skillet on medium right now because when I put this garlic in, I want to flavor that butter and that olive oil, but I don't want it to get brown. So actually I'm going to kind of lower it medium low. All right, let's get this onion going. So this is a yellow onion. Again, there's certain onions that you want to use for certain things. I tend to use sweet onions for most things. A yellow onion I find is a little bit less pungent than a white onion. All right, I'm going to slice it one direction, turn it, and slice it the other. Still my spoon that I used for my pasta. Get the onions and the garlic coated in the butter and olive oil, and then we're going to add some salt and pepper. I actually remembered to grab my little garbage bowl. I like to have a garbage bowl next to the stove as I'm cooking. It helps keep things clean as you're cooking. All right, and then we got some Italian seasoning. This sauce is going to come up together so quickly. The longest thing is the chicken meatballs, which are doing really good. I'm about to pull them out and flip them. Let me get the next ingredient in and then we'll do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more butter, actually a lot more butter, because now I want to add some kale. Now, here's how you can get creative. You could add mushrooms. You could add, if you didn't want any greens, you could add spinach instead of kale. You could mix up some greens. You could put collard greens, mustard greens, whatever, you know, whatever calls to you. Whoa. Oh, who else does like grocery pickup these days? So I do it sometimes, but not every time. So I put this kale on the list, and I was not expecting a bag like bigger than my head. So tomorrow, the rest of this kale I'm going to turn into kale chips. Hey guys, it's Amanda from the future. I was editing this video, and I got to the part right now just where it says, oh yeah, tomorrow I'm going to make kale chips. Totally forgot that I had left my kale chips in the oven while I was editing. So I like stopped editing, ran into the kitchen to check them. Luckily, I had them going very low at 250 degrees, I think. And you can hear how crunchy and perfect they are. And I sprinkled these with, I sprayed them with olive oil. And they have salt, pepper, dill, garlic powder, onion powder, and a little bit of Parmesan cheese. So they are delicious. So yay for the kale chips. And look, see, prove they're delicious. They're in my teeth. For a snack, I love kale chips. Okay, so they always cook down more than you think, which is why a bag really this big isn't too bad, because I will eat them all. But basically, I'm just gonna fill my skillet up until it kind of overflows a little bit. Well, almost overflows, and then that will cook down and will be good for your sauce. Okay, and the rest, I'm gonna make these into ranch flavored kale chips tomorrow. Yum, 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 yum. All right, so we'll have to work this in a little bit at a time, but while that's going, I'm going to grab I don't want to melt my cutting board, so I've got these are some oven mitts my mom made me. Some oven mitts. Pull these out and give them a turn and then put them back in to get some color on the other side. Oh, guys, they smell so good. Okay. So just kind of flip these over. You know, I was thinking about it after I put them in. I was like, I wonder if I put Parmesan cheese in the first batch of meatballs. It's one thing that drives my mom absolutely crazy. She's like, and my husband really, he's like, you never repeat a recipe. And I'm like, I know, I make it up as I go along. I mean, it's never boring around here, that's for sure. Watson, my plan is to not, I don't know if y'all can see him. No, he's right at my feet. His bone did not last his attention very long. My plan is to not drop one of these on your head. He's hoping that I will, though. It would be very hot and it would burn your tongue. He said, a risk I am willing to take. Oh, come on, meatball, turn over. Okay. I'm just kind of willy-nilly trying to get most or all of these turned over, but some of them do not want to cooperate. Tongs probably would have been a better utensil than a spatula, but oh well. One more. Okay. There we go. Ah, fingers work. All right, now let's get these back. They're almost done, you can tell. Like, they're really firm, but I'm gonna put them in just so that the bottom gets a little bit more color too. Just for a few more minutes. All right, now let's work this sauce again. It's like, come on, kale. We might need to put the lid on this to kind of steam it from the top too. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put the lid on these, and since that won't be super exciting, we'll be back in about 2 minutes, okay? All right, let's give it a peek and see if it, oh yeah, that's a lot better. Okay. All right, we added some salt to the onions, but I'm gonna add a little bit more salt to the kale. And I wanna put some olive oil because the next thing that we're gonna add is flour. And I want my flour to get coated in the oil and the butter so that it won't lump up. This is 1/3 cup. I don't know if I'm gonna use all of it or not, but let's see. Yeah, I think that's probably too much to use that whole thing. What's 1/2 I should know this. I make my kids do fractions, right? Okay. Like, Mom, what's the application for fractions? So that when you're cooking, you can say 1/2. All right, I want to make sure that, like I said, all that flour gets coated, and that'll help thicken the sauce and give it a little bit of creaminess. Now, heavy cream would be like absolutely phenomenal in this dish, but because this isn't like a special occasion or anything, I want to keep it a little bit lighter. I'm doing flour and some chicken stock. So let's see how that is. I'm gonna add a little bit more Italian seasoning too. Oh my gosh, it smells, it smells so good in here. Okay. Actually, I wanna go ahead and take my chicken out because I can smell it. I don't wanna overcook it and make them hard or tough or dried out or whatever you would do. Okay, so let me show you what this is looking like up close and personal. All right, boring pasta cooking, yummy, healthy, delicious sauce that we're about to add a bunch of cheese to, and amazing, yummy chicken meatballs that we're gonna add to our sauce here in a second. All right, so Parmesan. Okay, so I think Parmesan or some other kind of hard cheese like this would probably be your best bet. But if you slowly wanted to melt in mozzarella or some other cheese that you like better, like I know my mom cannot stand the flavor of Parmesan cheese, so she would probably want to substitute, you know, a cheese that she liked better. But the sharpness of the Parmesan, I think, goes well with this kale. I actually debated about putting mushrooms in here too, but decided to keep it a little bit more just simple. Sometimes I can get a little crazy with the ingredient list. Oh, you know what else would be really good in here is some red pepper flakes. I might have to add that to my dish at the end because my kids will not want to eat spicy. And red pepper flakes can go really well. Oh, let me turn off the oven. Okay, so now my favorite part, I get to taste it. I love my little baby spoons from IKEA. Okay. That's so good. Okay. I don't think I need to add anything. I need to lower the heat because I don't want it to burn or stick, especially now that I've got the, oh, that's my noodle timer. All right, I'm gonna turn this off. I'm gonna drain my noodles and then we'll come back and put everything together. Okay, noodles are drained. They're sitting right off of camera. You can't see them. I'm just going to quickly put these chicken meatballs in. I'm gonna make this pot really hard to stir here in a second. Actually, I wonder, I may have made more meatballs than I really needed. Okay, and noodles into the pan. Ah, noodle overboard. Come on, get off. Now the fun part of trying to get this to stir all in. I probably should have added the sauce to the big pot, but I don't know. For some reason I did not do that. Oh man, so good. Okay guys, I've literally never made this before, but I am so stoked. This is so exciting. This looks amazing. It smells good. It's gonna taste like out of this world. You gotta make this. I'm telling you, make this dish. Make your version of this dish. Comment below. Let me know what you think. Definitely hit the like and subscribe button so that you can get more of my content. And we're gonna plate this up and call the family down. And look, I've got extra meatballs that I can turn into like a meatball sub tomorrow. Like, I'm so lucky. All right, come here, let me show you this. I mean, what is not to love? A creamy, cheesy, delicious sauce with chicken meatballs and healthy kale. Nice. I'll see y'all next time.